Hello and welcome to Back on Track with Shades of Blue, the final mix. And I feel a bit stupid actually, because the last episode that I did, I said I was pretty much good to go, and I got all the way to the stage where I thought I finished, that is the song done, and then for one reason or another actually put it down for about 10 days. And when I came back to record the final episode and burn the final version to a WAV and upload it everywhere, it was just horrible. I just couldn't understand how so many things had gone wrong, and I've basically thrown the kitchen sink at the sound, at the music, and it just sounded muddy and cluttered and confused. And I think I've baby stepped my way to the point where I've learned so many new things over the last few months, particularly concerning the mastering process, the mixing and mastering process. I'm just trying to do everything. I'm just trying to throw too many things at a problem. I'm putting VSTs on that aren't necessary and cutting things away because I've trying to make sure that only one thing is anywhere in the mix, and it's all just got carried away. So I had a complete strip down of the music, pulled loads of things away, deleted entire sections of the rhythm, far too busy, far too cluttered, whole synth lines gone. The sound is much more pared down, and I think it's much better for it. So this is the version of the song that I'm actually going to release. Let's have a listen to it, and then we'll come back and talk a bit more. obviously there's still a lot going on at the end there, but it's a lot sparser than it was, and I think it sounds much, much better for it. There's a synth line over here. This prosperity line was just a pad, a fat pad. If I bring that back in and just bring those tracks in, it was just providing this kind of synth layer underneath, which sounds perfectly fine when you listen to it on its own. Was adding nothing to the music whatsoever. It was just introducing mid clutter in that sacred frequency range in the middle of the song, where all of your melody sounds and all of your guitars and synths, they're all competing for territory over there, and I just had this wash of sound in the background, and when I took it away, everything just sounded cleaner. There used to be 2 synth lines at the end basically competing with each other. Each of them individually sounded fine. It was a very nice sounding synth, but they didn't work together. And then when you bring in the guitar solo, which was also playing at the same time, it was just an absolute mess. So when the solo really kicks off now, you can see the one synth line that did survive gets absolutely savagely hacked, so that really at the end of the song, the guitar is carrying it on its own. It's the only primary melody thing going. This trickler pad here is a deep bluff sound. That survived because it actually adds useful thickness to the sound and does... It's such a high quality sound, so nice, that I found when I took that away, the song was diminished. So it was one of those where I basically took everything away and then put stuff back in one at a time. So, do you deserve your place? As opposed to this, I mean, I use the term baby stepping. You make small incremental changes, each of which is sensible in isolation, and you end up at an unreasonable place. And when you look back, you think, how the hell did I manage that? Now, note to self, and something that I didn't do on this song, and I'm really annoyed with myself, I'm still forgetting to use reference tracks. I didn't actually mix this against a reference track, but I like the sound of it so much. I'm going to stick with it as it is, because I think it sounds... I keep coming back to it after a couple of days of absence and listen to it again, and I like it, and I'm just going to be done with this one and move on to the next. And that's a bit of a black mark against me. That's it's an admission of guilt, really. I shouldn't do that. Drum fills. There was a drum fill over here that just sounded crass. It just sounded... Why? How did that survive so long? What the hell is that doing in the song? So they all went. I just took them away and didn't miss it. Didn't try to replace it with anything else. Just gone. Get out of here. So yeah, and I basically did that with all of the drum sounds. There's stuff that's just gone. The drum sounds are now much, much simpler. Entire tracks just deleted. Don't need you. Go away. So I'm talking like, kind of angry about it. I'm annoyed with myself for knowing that these are pitfalls that you can find yourself in when mastering, and just staggered blindly into all of them, and ended up in a situation where I was listening to the song and thinking, what's wrong with this? Why does it sound so chaotic and I can't make any of the instruments out? And it was that moment of realization of what I've done. Same with again, carrying on the same theme, the harmonies have been cut down. You can see that there have been some entirely deleted, but these over here have been muted. Same with the male line, and again, some of these have been just completely removed. And that sense of space now allows the ones that have survived to breathe. They don't feel quite so cluttered, and when they come in, they make a pleasing impact, rather than it just being this constant wall of sound. Again, in that vital, precious kind of mid to low mid range where you've got so many things competing with each other that everything really has to earn its salt in order to stay there. Is that a phrase? Earn its salt. Anyway, I had a devil of a time mixing the solo and the guitar solo and the synth line together. I think they work reasonably well together now. So this is what I've been doing. I've been taking things out into isolation and saying, do those two things sound good together? Do they mix well together? And then if I'm happy with the result, then bring the rest of the song in. You have to do it in context, but sometimes that like micro focus of saying, I'm just looking at these things. Do they work internally consistently? Now, second question, almost completely independent of the first question, do they work in the context of the song? And very often you can get yes to one and no to the other, or the other way around. There's plenty of stuff that can sound rubbish all on its own, but when you put it in the context of the song, it sounds fine. So I think this has been a bit of a level up song for me. I think this is a much better mix than either of the other two, Hummingbird and Snowfall, that I've finished to date. I'm desperately resisting the temptation to go back and remix them. I'm going to look forwards for maybe a year. I'm going to carry on releasing stuff and not going backwards, because the whole point is that every song that I release is supposed to be better than the last. And if I keep going back and starting from the beginning every time, you're going to get the elastic band effect where I'm constantly having to reinvent everything, and then I'm not going to make as much forward progress if I keep doing that. And the idea is, at the moment, I'm thinking maybe after a year or so, if I've got 10, 12 songs released, maybe go back and do all of them in one big sweep, like a remastering process. I don't know. But as things stand, this is number 3. It's done. Pretty happy with it. Let me know what you think. Hopefully you'll agree with some of the observations that I'm making, and if you strongly disagree, then let me know, and I'm always prepared to reconsider my current stance. But apart from the fact that I've not mastered this against a reference track, and I am very annoyed at myself for that. I think most of my other decisions have been decent. As far as the reference track thing goes, I am in the process of building a library of reference songs that focus on specific details. So if I want a clean female vocal, I'll find the perfect example of that, or a grungy, nasty guitar sound. What's the best example I can think of for that? So I'm building that library up at the moment, and maybe we'll talk about that in a later episode. So there we go, Shades of Blue finished. I'm going to get this one out the door, onto new pastures. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, please consider subscribing and join me for the next song, whatever that may be. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you next time.